Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Dota commentary. This is the second semifinal series between Dignitas and Alliance, and this is game one of a best of three series single elimination. Keep in mind, no matter who loses, they all go home with money, since the top four are guaranteed some form of prize money. But keep in mind, both teams obviously want to perform very well. Alliance, they have just been on a roll. They won the last Dreamhack winter with Eternal Envy instead of EGM, but most recently they won the G1 LAN finals with EGM in China. They won also the most recent Star Ladder tournament series, and they're just looking ridiculously powerful. Meanwhile, Dignitas starting to cement themselves as probably the best American team. They have really put on a good performance in this tournament. They've showed a lot of adaptability towards this new patch, and overall they've been quite impressive. So I'm very, very glad to see Dignitas show a bit more stability as well as consistency, because I met them in person. They are probably some of the nicest guys you'd ever have the pleasure of meeting. So it's really hard to root against either team. Alliance definitely the Western hopes for TI3, but Dignitas also one of the American hopes for TI3. And of course, if you don't like America, then you can just get out. Anyways, Alliance versus Dignitas. Dignitas going to open up with two Admiral Bulldog bans, really respecting that player for how much damage he can do on the offlane, and they are going to secure themselves battle with the opening choice, Alliance. We'll see what they respond with. Usually it's not a good idea to give up Batrider when you can't really get an inbound hero in return. And I don't think Alliance is a team in particular that likes to run the Treant Protector. So a lot of the quote-unquote inbound heroes have already been removed from the pool, at least inbounds in this current patch. So we'll see if Alliance can pick up a couple of their stable heroes. They're not like Navi where they want to get the Gyrocopter with the opening choices. Alliance is a much more versatile team at this moment in time, where they can just use a variety of different heroes, and I can't really call what they'll go for here. I've got to imagine they want to get at least one of Bulldog's here before Dignitas just gets rid of all of them, so maybe something like a Clockwork, but Clockwork versus Batrider, I don't know. That's just a very, very difficult situation Alliance put themselves in, but really they didn't want to give up Darkseer to Universe, and Dignitas made some smart opening bans, so I guess Alliance just in general didn't want to give up Wisp to Dignitas and let the Batrider through, rather than just leaving both heroes in the pool and then forcing Dignitas to choose one while Alliance got the other. So Alliance, they have to pick their poison now. Where are they going to go with? Are they going to get an aggressive offlaner like a Bounty Hunter? Are they going to aggressively tri-lane? It's really, really difficult for Alliance because, again, their heroes have been removed from the pool, and Bulldog is a player who does specialize in a couple of certain heroes who excels at above all else, and those heroes are Lone Druid as well as Nature's Prophet, of course. And Bulldog is such a fantastic player, but these are his trademark heroes. If he can't get his hands on these two heroes, suddenly his effectiveness is sort of dropped off by a little bit. That's going to secure themselves Keeper Light as well as Lifestealer, so they have a strong trialing component as well as having a very nice carry. Keep in mind Batrider has the lasso, which can drag Lifestealer through the magical immunity, and we'll see if Dignitas pick up the Bane Elemental to counter Lifestealers and the laning phase, because Enfeeble, of course, will not be dispelled by Rage, and Fiend Script does in fact go through Infest. But Dignitas is going to get themselves Jakiro. Interesting decision to get Jakiro in the opening phase of picks without the Darkseer. But I guess Dignitas really just like having the Twin-Headed Dragon on their side. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of picking up so early, especially, on the Darkseer combination, because that's what Dignitas' bread and butter has really been. Vacuum into Ice Path into Macro Pyre, and that's why they've been getting Jakiro in such high priority. But with an opening pick without somebody like Darkseer to back up Jakiro, I don't know. And also Lifestealer does pretty much does not really care what Jakiro does, because he can just rage through all of it. And Jakiro, since he doesn't have the highest armor value in Lifestealer, can just go to work and tear down the Jakiro. So I'm not too sure if I like this second pick Jakiro without any sort of backup, but we'll see if Dignitas can get themselves a strong teamfighter to help set that ultimate. And immediately my thoughts turn to Naga Siren, because if you can't get the Darkseer, you need to get some other teamfight here on your side. And I've got to think Dignitas will go for the Naga Siren in this game, because, I mean, without Darkseer, who are you honestly going to get that can set up a teamfight that well? Maybe Disruptor, but Disruptor as well as Jakiro, that might just be a bit too greedy, even for Dignitas' liking. Yeah, Alliance going to ban Gyrocopter. They already have their hard carry for Loda, as Loda is the Lifestealer player for Alliance. So they're going to get rid of as many hard carries they possibly can feel like. Dignitas going to ban mid-solo heroes, getting rid of the Storm Spear Infest Bomb, a very wise decision by Dignitas, and also Storm Spear can just run circles around Batrider as well as Jakiro, even though you can link in with the lasso. I mean, Storm Spirit might be tanky enough that it can survive, and without the last to hold Storm Spirit in check, Storm Spirit can just rain havoc on the opposing team. So a good ban by Dignitas. Also, this allows AUI to farm a bit more safely since he doesn't have to worry about as many lifesteal and Vest Bombs. And Lifesteal can invest bomb with a multitude of different heroes. Nyx Assassin could be a viable option, as well as Weaver. So if Alliance want to get their hands on either of those heroes, those are definitely some solid options. As Treant was removed from the pool by Alliance, probably something Dignitas is toying with because Lifestealer does have problems against Treant Protector, as does Keeper of the Light. But Dignitas gonna get rid of that, or Alliance gonna get rid of that hero. I'm sure they've had their fill of Treant Protector in this playoffs because, I mean, Alliance is one of the more vocal teams in decrying their support for this hero, as Living Armor just makes games a nightmare for aggressive teams. And Alliance is known to play a variety of different styles, so they definitely don't like having one of those styles hampered by Treant Protectors, Living Armor, Plot Armor as Luminous likes to call it. Dignitas will ban out another mid-soul hero. It remains to be seen. It depends on how they want to lane this barrier. Are they going to put him in mid lane? It looks like they are going to put him in the off lane because Dignitas just got rid of two very strong mid lane heroes. And the only really strong mid laner left in the pool, I guess, is something like a Puck, which Alliance could get for S4. But yeah, I'm not too sure. And there is the Puck for Alliance, so it is going to be a S4 Puck. And I'm not too sure who Dignitas can match up in the middle lane up against the Puck. They could go for something like a Templar Assassin, who does do pretty well against Lifesteal, Keeper of the Light, as well as Puck, so I think Templar Assassin would be the most appropriate choice for Dignitas in this situation. But if they manage to get Templar Assassin as well as Naga Siren, they might have a bit too much physical damage, and Ghost Scepters might just sort of negate Dignitas' game plan once it reaches that pivotal point in the game. But Templar Assassin does do very well against Puck. Refraction does help to mitigate a lot of Puck harassment, and the base damage that Refraction grants you is absolutely tremendous. And meanwhile, if Dignitas want to get themselves a Naga Siren, that could definitely be a solid option. I think they really need somebody that can help set up Jakiro, because Jakiro's teamfight effectiveness is greatly reduced without having set up the Macro Power, because Macro Power is not a really stable spell. You can just sort of run circles around it. But if you can pair it with a very strong ultimate, it suddenly does a heck of a ton of damage, and you really have to fear the Jakiro in that situation. So I've got to think Dignitas are trying to debate whether they want to get the Naga Siren or some other mid hero before Alliance gets rid of too many more mid heroes from the pool. Meanwhile, Alliance, right now, they can potentially go offensive with their Trine. Keeper Light is very strong in both offensive and defensive Trines, although Chakra Magic doesn't really help Lifestealer compared to most other carries. And Dignitas indeed gonna pick up the Naga Siren. It was pretty obvious when they picked up the Jakiro. They need some form of teamfight security with the Jakiro in mind, so they're going to get themselves a Naga Siren. And also the Naga Siren does do pretty well against Lifestealer because Net holds people through the magically immune Rage, and Sleep just negates everybody else, so only the Rage target will be unaffected. While everybody around him sleeps, Lifestealer would just be going, guys, why are you sleeping all around me? And then he just gets slaughtered by Barada as well as Naga during that slight duration.
5 seconds remaining.
But yeah, Alliance could potentially go aggressive with their Trine. Lifestealer isn't really the best laning partner for Keeper Light because Keeper Light wants to stay very far back and Lifestealer needs to be up close in your face and without a spell to open up with the open wounds with that really strong casting nerf, or the range nerf to the casting the range nerf to the cast of open wounds. He needs some form of sap, and I guess Rubik will be that choice. And Alliance, they still can go aggressive if they wanted to, but Naga is a pretty strong tri lane carry for the most part. It might not be too feasible for Alliance to go head to head, and I think Loda does like running the Lifestealer in the safe lane, since Lifestealer is one of the few heroes Loda still likes to build minus on. I mean, there was a point in time back when Eternal Envy was on Alliance that Loda built Midas on every carry, but he's now strayed away from it. He now only builds it on heroes that he knows he's getting uninterrupted free farm, and he wants to get a massive experience advantage, and Lifestealer is one of those heroes. So just based on Alliance's play style, I'm inclined to believe that this will be a defensive challenge, but if they want to go on the offensive, this is a pretty decent aggressive challenge to go up against Dignitas' defensive challenge with. But diving into a Jakiro trialing is always going to be a bit iffy, and Naga Siren has a lot of armor, so I don't know. Dignitas' Tron might just be a bit too tanky for Alliance to do too much damage, and if you lose the aggressive Tron, you lose a lot of momentum because your supports won't be getting as much experience compared to the other team's supports, since the other team will be getting a lot of pulls going.
Dire team ban.
Dignitas is going to secure themselves a Weaver, and Weaver has been a North American pick that does do very well against Leicester, since of course Leicester cannot really catch up to Weaver under any circumstance. But Weaver is also a double-edged sword, especially when the other team has a Rubik, because Rubik can always steal Shikuchi. I mean, Weaver has tied it tremendously, like cast Storm after every time he uses Shikuchi whenever Rubik is on the map, and that's just not feasible in such a chaotic game like Dota. So Rubik will inevitably steal Shikuchi, and that is one of the best spells in the game for Rubik to steal because it's so cheap, it can function both as an offensive and defensive utility mechanism, and can just be spammed over and over again. But still, Weaver does do pretty well against Leicester, and he does alright against Puck because he can time-lapse out of the Dream Coil, but still the silence. If Alliance S4 manages to get a really fast dagger up in the Puck, look for Weaver, probably being run by Universe, to have a really difficult time. So it's going to be up to the mid lane to control S4 as best as possible, and right now Dignitas don't really have a strong mid laner unless they want to take Barrett to the middle lane, which they could potentially do if Universe is playing the Weaver. Alliance going to pick up the Phantom Lancer, so wow, really interesting choice, as now they have a couple heroes they need to get out of experience. So I guess Alliance are indeed going to run an aggressive tri lane, as maybe they want to have some form of heroes that can match up against Dignitas in late game, because Nagasine and Weaver can potentially go very late, and dude beat Lifestealer pretty well because of their innate skill abilities. Meanwhile, Phantom Lancer will be the pickup for Alliance, and I gotta think it will be a load of Phantom Lancer, and if that's the case, then I guess it'll be Bulldog playing Lifestealer. I'm not too sure how Alliance will lane this. I guess they're gonna run an aggressive tri lane of Lifestealer, Keeper Light, Rubik, or maybe they'll run dual lanes, have Phantom Lancer, or maybe Lifestealer, Rubik middle lane, Puck off lane, and Phantom Lancer call top lane. I think that's what Alliance are going to do for their laning situations, because it doesn't really make sense out of that, as Dignitas is going to get themselves an Enchantress, but suddenly that Phantom Lancer pick just really, I mean, it threw me for a loop. I wonder how it threw Dignitas, because that was something that I definitely was not expecting, but it makes sense because Lifestealer, like I previously mentioned, does get beaten by Nagasarn as well as the Weaver, and of course Barrett does do pretty well. But now suddenly with the Phantom Lancer, Alliance have a bit more stability in their backline if the game goes a bit too late, and Admiral Dog will indeed play the Leicester, and it looks like he will be probably going to the off lane, so I guess they're going to sacrifice Leicester to the Wolves and instead want a more favorable matchup for Puck. It's a bit difficult to say at this moment, but if that's the case, then I guess Leicester is one of the heroes that can immediately jungle, and Admiral Bulldog is very well acquainted to just jungling right from the get-go. I'm more used to seeing laning Leicester these days, but Leicester, keep in mind, is a carry that can jungle just from level 1, albeit pretty slowly. But Bulldog will probably rush the Midas in order to make up some of his experience loss, and Puck really wants to get that dagger up ASAP, so S4 playing the Puck is gonna be able to do just that if he's not challenged in the middle lane. So now that I think about it, I do like this lane assignment by Alliance a bit more if they did dual lanes. Dignitas always the chatty team. I mean, Alliance are from Sweden, so that's why Loda is saying, you tell me how Sweden is. But interesting, the players and the teams. On the side of Dignitas, we are going to have Way Too Sexy the captain playing the Enchantress, Fogged is going to be playing the Jakiro, Universe is playing the Batrider, AUI 2000 is playing the Nagasarn, and Snaking is playing the Weaver in the mid-solo lane, so Weaver up against Puck, an interesting matchup. I've got to think Weaver does alright, but I don't think he can really stop Puck, since Puck can phase shift a lot of harassment. If Weaver goes in too deep, he can potentially be silenced and potentially be killed off because Weaver does have low base HP. Meanwhile, on the side of Alliance, we're going to have S4 playing the Puck. Aki is playing the Keeper Light, or Ake, as I guess that's the correct pronunciation. Loda is playing the Phantom Lancer. EGM is playing the Rubik, and Admiral Bulldog is going to be taking care of the Lifestealer. And, you know, Loda had a bit of a Twitter drama up against AUI, but I'm sure they probably talked it out in person, hugged it out like bros. This is just what I'm guessing. But still, both teams seem to be on reasonably good terms. And Universe playing the Batrider, he will immediately rotate himself to the offlane position and then just check out things on that position, then immediately go into the jungle, try to get himself a fast dagger, and look to have an impact as early as possible. But yeah, Puck versus Weaver, an interesting matchup. I do think it favors Puck because he has a bigger range and he can phase shift a couple Gemini attacks from the Weaver. And of course, he has an AoE nuke that can potentially push the creep wave, although Weaver has a bit more mobility with the Shikuchi spam than somebody like a Puck, since the Illusion Orb travel speed is a lot slower compared to Shikuchi, I think. Well, I guess it's a bit faster. I think it has something like 600, 700 move speed, whereas Shikuchi has 522 capped. But you can use Shikuchi a lot more frequently. But Alliance seems like their lineup is intent on playing passively. They want to get farmed up, and Phantom Hearts has really fallen out in favor recently. The only way you can probably play Phantom Hearts is in conjunction with Keeper Light, so you can turtle out the game long enough. Because teams have figured out once Phantom Hearts gets slammed in the early game, it's a bit difficult for him to come back, especially when you pick up an early gem, because he is quite squishy. He doesn't really build tank items right from the get-go. He likes to get Diffusal Blade, Yasha, those farming items, so he can split push a lot more effectively. And even late game scenarios, Phantom Hearts can be beaten by heroes like Gyrocopter, or even heroes like Lifestealer who can come in with a Basher and just abyssal the main Phantom Lancer illusion. So Phantom Lance has really fallen out of favor, and the damage nerf that was recently implemented to Phantom Lance's juxtaposed illusions is going to hurt his damage output by a decent amount, although a 5% damage decrease is not going to be the biggest deal, especially when you have mana burn on your side. But still, if there was ever a line to play Phantom Lancer against, this is going to be it, because Loda will not be touched whatsoever on that top lane until Barrett does pick up his dagger. That's just Dignitas' style, and they don't really have an offensive trialing that can really contest the Phantom Lancer in this situation. So Loda, we'll see what he decides to go for. Will he rush straight up drums, or will he go for something a bit more greedy like a Midas? I'm going to be inclined to believe he will get that Bracer first, just because that is a standard Loda build, and try to bulk up into his HP, but I don't know. He could potentially get that really, really fast Midas if he decides to go that route, but if that was the case, I don't think he would have gotten all this extra fluff. You know, Snaking has been playing Weaver a lot in the mid lane recently. Weaver is definitely a common in mid lane because he can really control the runes with his really high move speed, and as Shikuchi, which can be spammed over and over again, which can push the creep wave out. And also, something that Weaver can do compared to other carries is that he can hit, go invisible, and escape some tower damage if he does manage to get out of tower vision, or even if he's in tower vision. As long as he escapes at the last instant, he won't take any tower damage, and so he can do a lot more aggressive physical damage harassment compared to other mid-solo carries, or other mid-solos in general. But Puck has a similar thing. I mean, Puck has phase shift, so Puck himself can dodge a lot of physical harassment from towers. And with that extra bit of range, Puck should be able to control the mid lane quite admirably. And speaking of the Admiral, Bulldog gonna farm up in the jungle, has a Stout Shield as well as a Quelling Blade. No real indication if he's gonna go for Midas or not. I mean, this is Bulldog, so I'm gonna believe he's gonna go for Midas since he likes to catch up in experience and likes to have an impact as early as possible with his offlane hero. And Lifestealer is a hero that wants to have an early game impact, especially with the physical damage being so powerful at that stage in the game. And Loaded probably just wants to farm up while Lifestealer creates some space. So I'm going to be inclined to believe that Bulldog will rush to Mice in order to boost up his experience growth, but I think at that point then you'll start fighting. You know, way too sexy. It seems like this Harpy Stormcrafter is his new best friend, as he has been just spamming the hell out of this creep. That Chain Lightning can be cast so often, it does a significant chunk of damage to these low HP heroes as EGM gonna come in. Looks like the Stormcaller won't really time out, as S4 gonna be in a lot of trouble. One more Chain Lightning would be the end of S4, but the Harpy Stormcrafter actually gonna die, and EGM gonna give S4 his salve. What a nice support. Snaking has his bottle, meanwhile S4, because he was pulled a set of tangos, I do believe his battle will be a bit delayed. So Snaking doing a pretty solid job in this mid lane for the most part. Meanwhile, the trial is extremely uninteresting. AUI just going to spam the Riptide. We'll see what build AUI goes for, because in the previous game, he went for a very heavy split pushing oriented build, but against a Keeper Light and a Phantom Lancer and a Puck, I don't know if split pushing is the best option. He might choose to go for a more combat oriented build rather than going for, I guess, way to go. He went for Yasha into Radiance into Diffusal level 2 into Boots of Travel and then into Heart. He might decide to go for like drums into Diffusal, maybe the standard Nagasaran build, because I don't think he'll be able to split push that effectively up against a Phantom Lancer and a Keeper Light, and of course a Puck. We got Loda holding on to a lot of gold. Looks like he is saving up for a big item. Might be that Midas, might be the Treads. Gonna be inclined to believe that it will be the Midas, since again he's really not being challenged whatsoever on the top lane, and this Midas will be picked up relatively quickly. I mean, if he felt confident enough, maybe because his supports weren't pulling as much, he probably just skipped the Quelling Blade. But actually, Phantom Monster does like to have the Quelling Blade because it does increase his main hero's farming tool, although it doesn't increase his Illusion's farming capabilities anymore since that bug was indeed fixed. Still, I mean, it won't be the fastest Midas ever, but it's going to be a really, really fast Midas nonetheless, as he just bought something. It is going to be the Hannah Midas recipe being delivered to Loda, so that will be a very fast Midas. He will probably get it around the 5.5 minute mark. And at that point, I mean, I don't think AUI himself is going to go for Midas. You can see he's already picked the Ring of Basilius, and he might be pushing in. You know, keep it light, just stacking neutrals, spamming the Illuminate, and instead will rotate to the bot lane, recognizing that there is going to be a Siege Wagon creep, and he does see Dignitas push the lane. He will be en route to defend this tower with his life, but he does have to be very careful with positioning, because the Nagastein can just keep Aki locked down for a really, really long time if Aki's not careful. So Illuminate is going to clip Dignitas, but now Aki could potentially be in a lot of trouble because AUI senses something's up. He is going to scout out Aki, but a nice tango path being created by Aki to juke out of the way. Unfortunately, I don't know if he'll be able to defend this tower because of that juke spot he managed to create. As the Siege Dragon is still at healthy HP, and the tower is dying quite rapidly. The creep wave is going to take quite a pounding, but a couple range creeps still do remain. AUI does have a high base armor value. I mean, he has 10 armor at this stage in the game, which is quite immense. And I think Dignitas will be able to muscle down this tower, but you can see Alliance in response going to immediately turn their attentions towards the top tower. And Loda with the Midas definitely coming out ahead in this engagement. You know, Way Too Sexy did pick up the last hit. I'm sure AOI probably wanted it, but giving it to Way Too Sexy, not the biggest deal. As the universe being driven away, will get telekinesed up into the air, but just going to be thrown back. Loda already used the spare lance, said he was out of mana, so they couldn't follow up any initiation. As Snaking actually picks up S4 in the middle lane. I want to see exactly how that happened. Looks like S4 was just taking the lane a bit too long after taking way too much harassment, and Snaking was able to pick up the first blood. Really nicely done by Snaking, so maybe Weaver has a bit more of an advantage that I gave him credit for. Actually, the CS is relatively even, and maybe it was just the item choices at the beginning of the game that gave Snaking this slight advantage. Meanwhile, Universe rotating to the top lane is very close to his dagger. He's not even level 6 as Snaking just gonna spam that Shikuchi. And I guess that's one of the reasons why Weaver can fight Puck, is because Shikuchi is so cheap and can do a lot of harassment. Meanwhile, Illusory Orb a lot more effective. And Snaking can, or a lot more, god, infrequent I suppose, and he can dodge it potentially. But, I don't know. Maybe it's an even mid lane matchup? I've never played this mid lane matchup. I'm gonna have to ask SK or somebody to explain to me how that matchup actually goes. But even though they gave up first blood, they're definitely not in too bad a position. They traded a tower, and Loda has a hand of Midas, and Bulldog is gonna go for a straight up armlet. So I guess he wants to fight in the mid game rather than farm up and get experiences. S4 gonna get the Storm dropped on him. Once again, S4 gonna drop the Dream Coil, but he will end up dying as Snaking will time ops out of the way. So Snaking played a really remarkable Weaver in the mid lane, just handling S4. And S4 is probably the most consistent, if not the best mid-solo in the Western scene, up there with the Dendi and the likes of other prominent mid lane players, just being controlled by Snaking. Very, very nicely done by Snaking.
Middle tower is under attack.
And Keeplight gonna have to rotate in, try to have some experience, get that level of Illuminate online, but still, even with the Puck dying, I mean, this is not a great situation for Alliance, because they really want to have the Puck dagger up to shut down the Weaver, so he can blink in silence and just really annoy the Weaver to no end, but they have a Loda with a Midas, and he's farming absolutely out of control. And Bulldog's gonna go straight into the armlet, so he can fight much earlier on while Loda just continues to farm up, while Lifesteal looks to create some space. So even though Puck has died, I mean, Alliance, they're not in the worst position, just because Loda is unlikely to be ganked at this point, unless Dignitas do pick up some early sets of detection, which they currently do not have. So the pause is going to go through, checking out the early game goal graph. It's ever so slightly in favor of the Radiant, as good to go is the call. That's usually because Bauer is a faster jungler than Lifestealer, because he can just Firefly and take so many more creeps. The experience graph also slightly in favor of the Radiant, just because of that Bauer getting so much extra farm. And of course, Snaking having a big level advantage over S4 in the middle lane. We'll see what items Snaking decides to go for. Will he go for the Lincoln Sphere? I don't know. It might be more prudent for him to go just for a BKB rather than Lincoln Sphere, because he has the bottle for his regeneration, and what single target spells will really give him problems I guess the telekinesis and the Phantom Lance, that's it. So I don't really think he needs Lincoln so much. I think he can just go for drums into BKB, which that seems like it will be a good option, as Aki could potentially be in a lot of trouble, just going to smartly teleport out of there, but will be in a lot of trouble. One more hit would have been the end, but Weaver at this stage in the game just attacks a bit too slow. Maybe a snaking switch to his treads. He could have gotten that extra attack off, but still, it's a bit debatable.
Radiant's top tower.
Meanwhile, I'm really surprised that Dignitas are just letting Loda just push this tower for free. I guess they think that once Barra gets a dagger, they can initiate and just kill off Loda over and over again. But still, it's always a big risk giving Phantom Lance. There's so much open farm, especially a carry player like Loda, who really steps up his game in these LAN tournaments. I mean, say what you want about Loda, but in the big moments, he really does step up to a tremendous degree. And that's why he is a legend. And this is his home country of Sweden that he is representing. So I wouldn't be too sure if Dignitas just giving him absolute free farm is the best way to go about it, especially with a hero like Phantom Lancer, who does beat Weaver as well as Nagasiren, since the illusions of Nagasiren take so long to resummon. Weaver is a single target hero that can't really kill off those illusions, as Barra will blink in. He is not going to catch S4. Nice reaction by S4, casting the Waiting Rift, as looks like Barra will be held in place, and Barra just revealed that he has a dagger, so this will be very, very annoying for Dignitas, as now seems like the Dart are fully aware, and the Radiant going to push down the tower. Do they have any points in Liquid Fire to help amplify this push? It does not appear so, but with the Enchantress pushing in with her creeps, it seems like this tower will fall in the next barrage of creeps.
Radiant's top tower.
Unless Dignitas decide to back off, which they could potentially do if Loda does threaten this tier 2 a bit more actively. AUI, he is going to go for the Radiance build again, so I guess he likes having that split pushing presence. And also having the Radiance up against a dagger puck, you can just send those illusions up forward, as Lowe's illusion will just go to work on this Smeevil courier. Stupid Smeevil. But yeah, Radiance Naga will do a decent job in terms of cancelling the puck dagger, assuming the illusions can survive long enough to make it all the way towards the puck in a teamfight scenario. And also Radiance will help Naga split push a lot more easily, God, and hopefully just crank up Naga's gold per minute output, maybe comparable to Loda's minus output. But the experience won't be the same as snaking. Gonna get Shakuchi stolen from EGM. Finally gets his hand on that very, very crucial spell, and now EGM is just gonna be so difficult to lock in place. I mean, there is net, but that's pretty much it. And Loda, recognizing that the top lane was getting in a bit of trouble, going to instead teleport himself to the bottom lane and just going to continue his farming spree, as Aki has picked up the Tranquil Boots. And Snaking, he's finished the drums. AUI is going to finish the relic relatively soon. It's going to be a very, very fast relic for AUI. The dagger has been finished on Barrett, has a set of detection as well. Seems like Fog, not too much gold in the bank, only level 5, but this isn't really the biggest deal for Jakiro, as he will come by his levels. And Jakiro as support doesn't really need that many levels. The spell it's already do quite a bit in a teamfight scenario. And the Dire are going to lose their tier 1 tower, not going to be able to provide too much pressure in the middle tier 1 as a response to snaking with Deladandron. Just going to drive away the remnants of the sieging Dire army. Enchantress picks up a Bracer. We'll probably get either Arcane Boots or just rush into Ags, as Bulldog getting very close to that armlet. We'll have it up relatively soon, and at that point Lifesteal can look for some engagements, but considering Alliance's playstyle at this moment, it seems like they are just more than content to farm up and try to beat Dignitas at their own game. But this tier 1 middle is going to be in lot of trouble, as there comes the initiation on the Bulldog. Here comes Stun, Ice Path, and the Centaur Stomp will be perfectly chained, but Bulldog just so survival will infest Centaur, will be able to escape as a Dream Coil, gonna latch on the Universe, will hold in place. The Universe will be the first one inside Dignitas to fall. Phantom Lights will go through onto Way Too Sexy. He's just so tanky with those Wisps healing him up, but it's just not going to be enough, as EGM does pick up Fog. Looks like EGM could potentially be in a lot of trouble. Way Too Sexy is definitely going to be in a lot of trouble, as Way Too Sexy is just going to teleport himself out of there. But it's going to be a 2-for-0 engagement favoring the side of Alliance. And I think the reason for that is because they focused a lot of attention on Lifesteal, who they just couldn't bring down. And notice Alliance fought with all 5 people. Meanwhile, AUI was not really there, just pushing with the illusions. Instead, saw a big creep move on the bottom lane, decided to farm out up. And that might have been for the best, but still, Dignitas did lose a bit of momentum. At the very least, Dignitas managed to kill off the tier 1, so they got what they came for. They're going to get a bit of gold as well, but still not killing off Loda and not killing off the Lifesteal after devoting many resources might just come back to bite Dignitas in the ass just a little bit, as now Lifesteal has his armlet, so he's going to be even more difficult to bring down. And Loda gonna go straight for Defusal, not bothering to go for the Yasha to increase the move speed as well as increase his farming capabilities. It looks like he wants to fight a bit earlier on with that mana drain, recognizing that Dignitas are playing a lot more aggressive this stage since they have the dagger online. As EGM gonna get swarmed up, but EGM just gonna scurry on out of there. Shikuchi, just probably one of the best spells in the game for Rubik to possibly steal. Looks like he stole Swarm, so he has a bit more scouting vision, and maybe Shikuchi was timing out. Way too sexy. Likely going to pick up a point booster relatively soon. It seems like he didn't go straight into the arcane boots. Are there any arcane boots on side Dignitas? Does not seem like there are, so maybe it would be more prudent for Way Too Sexy to actually finish the arcane boots rather than going straight into that point booster. Naga Siren with Radiance can just split push a lot more effectively and just gonna attack the middle tower. I'm not too sure why, but I guess why the hell not? Alright, so they're going to smoke up. They're trying to re-establish map control as their sentries are just going to scout out any potential wards that Dignitas have lying about. But Dignitas seems to know something's up. They're going to group up on the bottom lane, but they could be in a bit of a rude awakening because this is a 3v4 situation, now a 4v4 situation. But AY is not there to help out his friends. But in the end, Alliance is going to be the first ones to blink. They're just going to back off, wait for an engagement. I mean, hey, Lotus farming up. I mean, I think Phantom Lancer versus Naga Siren is definitely in favor of Phantom Lancer. So if Dignitas want to play the farming game, it seems like Alliance are more than happy to play that. As Snaking gonna rush in with the haster and gonna go to work onto EGM. He does cast Storm as well as Telekinesis, and Snaking will be forced to retreat. You know, AOI just constantly pushing, has picked up a magic stick. I don't know if he just picked up some treads as well. Should check the courier. Point booster gonna be en route towards Way Too Sexy very, very soon. And both teams just continuously farming up Universe, trying to go for that Force Staff to get a more solid initiation off. But Diffusal Blade has now been finished on Loda, so Alliance, if they want to fight, they can potentially do just that. Because Naga Siren is not really tanky at this point in the game, so Diffusal Blade in conjunction with the Lifesteal and Keep Light damage can just potentially rip through that Naga Siren like a hot knife through butter. As Puck still far away from that dagger, you can see Puck's farm has been severely limited since the jungle is reserved for Lifesteal as well as Phantom Lancer at this stage in the game, and Puck just does not have as much room to farm up. So that might be the weakness in Alliance's game at the moment. They don't really have a solid form initiation, and I mean the Puck will inevitably try to pick up the dagger even against Radiance, but the initiations are just going to be a lot more difficult as Dignitas is going to push in with 4. We'll see if Alliance is going to be able to defend this, as Loda does have a TP scroll to get himself back towards the tower, but he does not have enough mana to use it. I mean, he does have Coddle, as Coddle actually gonna look to probably recall Loda back if a teamfight does inevitably break out. As Staking is gonna go for the Yasha, trying to increase his DPS output, and Dignitas is just gonna back off for now. No risk, no reward, as both teams gonna back up, but they at least managed to stop Loda from farming up. And AY is continuing his farming spree, and now AY is level 11, so his Song of Siren has a much shorter cooldown at this stage. And once AY does hit level 16, even though Naga up against Puck and Phantom Lancer isn't really the best split pusher, that ultimate can just be used so frequently that she does become a strong split pusher in her own right.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
You can see in terms of GPM, Loda is surpassing Naga just because of that Hanamitis. And the tower count, it seems like it is pretty much even. Dignitas have a 1 tower advantage, but that's it. Check out the goal graph. It's ever so slightly in favor of Dignitas just because of that tower, as well as, I guess, this CS because Enchantress can jungle up, as well as Barrier. Experience graph actually heavily favoring the Dire because of that minus being constantly used on Loda. And you can see Loda level 13 compared to AY, who's farming non-stop, as well as Universe, who's just in the thick of every engagement. And that's just because the hand mice is giving Loda so much extra experience. And you can see all across the board, actually, it seems like the levels are relatively even outside of Loda. So Alliance definitely not in too bad a position. As Loda gonna be recalled. Probably want to use his minus. I don't know why he was recalled there. A, to defend the tier 2, as he is gonna pick up the Vlads. Why would he need a Vlads? Huh, an interesting decision, but it looks like Loda is gonna pick up Vlads. And of course, as you all know, the lifesteal does not work on the illusions, so the illusions actually do not benefit from the lifesteal in any way. They do benefit from the plus damage aura because, of course, it is an aura that can be applied. Or do they?
Dire's
I don't
middle
know. I could be
tower is under
mistaken.
attack.
I'm sometimes an idiot. Maybe it doesn't benefit from the plus damage aura, but the armor can definitely help against the Naga Siren, and the lifesteal for the main hero illusion, or the main hero of Phantom Lancer, as well as the lifesteal, could be very, very useful. I've got to imagine this is a stopgap item because eventually Loda will sell the Vlads. Maybe just anticipates a team fight breaking out very, very soon. And he wants to have the armor bonus, and his universe is flying overhead. Does spot out EGM, but has to be very, very careful. Actually, might not even spot out EGM because of the flying vision nerf. But yeah, the plus armor is going to be very, very valuable up against Weaver, as well as Naga Siren, heroes that pump out a lot of physical damage. And eventually Loda will sell that and make one of his supports buy it instead. So I guess this isn't really the biggest deal, but still, it is 2k gold that is not immediately paying off. And won't really help him to split push that effectively either. So this game, once again, entering a big lull 2-2, as this game has really hit a standstill. I mean, I think Alliance have the capability to go late game with this lineup. Dignitas have the capabilities to do that as well, but I mean, Phantom Lancer, it's such a crapshoot without having a Rapier Gyro-Copter on your side. Snaking, as Tolan Gold in the Bank has finished the Yasha, as well as a set of drums. Fogged, no money, is going to get himself Arcane Boots relatively soon as Rubik finishes his own Arcane Boots universe. Getting very close to the 4-staff. Should have that up relatively soon as well. Way too sexy. Trying to make his way towards Aghanim Scepter. A little over halfway there. You know, Naga Siren finished the Yasha, but I don't know if Dignitas' game plan is the right way to go about going up against the Phantom Lancer as well as the Lystar. And I mean, Puck is just now finished the dagger, so if Alliance want to look for a fight, they have a good form of initiation if Naga Siren doesn't cancel the dagger with the Radiance. So this is a bit iffy for me for Dignitas, but they've been able to control the map pretty solidly for the most part, so maybe this is working out for the better, as AUI is going to pop the song and escape on out of there, but all the while there is a team fight breaking out. Lasso will go down to EGM, as will there be enough damage thrown EGM way. He's going to be at Flaybreak, he will be the first one to die, as Zaki will probably get hunted down, but here comes a huge Dream Coil, going to catch 4 people inside Dignitas, and there is no Song and Sign to bail Dignitas out of trouble. Universe is going to be on trouble. Leicester going in, going to rage through the Ice Path, going to kill off Fogged, as well as the Barra Universe. Or Wait, he's actually going to be the next one to fall, likely. The Wisp not going to save him. Snaking does kill off Puck, but it's going to be a 4 for 2 thus far, or 3 for 2 thus far. And all the while, AUI trying to push down this middle tower won't be successful. Naga Siren's DPS output just simply not enough, and because Naga Siren's not up, he's going to have to back off. But man, what a counter initiation by S4. That Dream Coil caught everybody inside Dignitas. A bit unlucky that he died, as Snaking was able to isolate him and hunt him down, as Snaking, very, very tank for a Weaver, all things considered, has now finished the ultimate orb, so is going to go straight to the Manta style to dispel the silence, as well as have some more damage and some survivability on his side. But all things considered, Alliance did win the fight in the end of the game, 3-2. And we'll have to see if they're going to take that momentum and ride with it, although Dignitas is just really exerting control over the map. So it's really difficult to say who has the advantage. I think Alliance have a slight advantage because I think their heroes do go later than Dignitas's. They have a slight experience advantage. The goal advantage ever so slightly in the Radiant's favor. But Loda is just going to become more and more of a problem as he's now finished the Diffuse level 2. We're going to have to see if he's going to go for Yasha or just go straight into a Heart. Universe flying overhead is gonna spot out somebody. Spots out S4, but S4 is he the right target to initiate on? S4 just gonna get on out of there, gonna pop this out. Universe could potentially be on a trail. Snaking gonna get pursued. We'll get the kill on S4, but that will cost Universe his life, and Weaver gonna time lapse out of trouble. An off lane for mid hero. I think that's probably worth it for Dignitas because Barrett already has 4-staff. And even though Puck isn't really close to anything, the more you delay Puck's Hex or whatever item he's gonna go for, the better. Because at this point, Barrett, all he really needs is Boots of Travel, and he's pretty much at his full potential. So I think that was worth it for Dignitas, but I'm not too sure. It's always difficult in a 1v1 trade to see who has the advantage. But what I'm really wondering is, what exactly is Dignitas' game plan for Loda? I mean, I'm not seeing it. They don't have anything AoE other than a Jakiro. They don't have anything like a Maelstrom or a Battle Fury to cleave through the illusions, and none of these heroes will build towards either of those items. I mean, Weaver could potentially do that, but it's going to be very unlikely. And Leicester is starting to get very, very powerful. He's going to go for SY to chase down the side of Dignitas. So Dignitas, I mean, I think they're just playing way too passively. And this is Dignitas' style, but I think Alliance has the picks in this case to just handle that and one-up Dignitas at their own game. Alliance going to smoke up. They have an Infest Bomb on the puck as they will spot Universe. Universe will be on trouble, and Universe is just going to immediately get picked off. Will they turn their attentions on Fog? Yes, Admiral Bulldog does catch Fog. Can they get the cancellation? Yes, Dreamcoil will be used to catch Fog, as Alliance going to get a 2 for nothing. And all the while, Snaking going to work on the tier 2 middle. Will likely pick it off unless Alliance fortify it up. They are going to fortify it up. They want to get the deny off at the very least, and Snaking going to have to scuttle on out of there. And all the while, Nagasarn just going to sleep, escape. Puck does deny the tower, and Snaking actually going to get picked off. A good recovery from Alliance as they managed to secure 3 kills at the price of a tier 2 tower deny. So Dignitas just flinched. That smoke gank was very nicely timed by Alliance because Alliance hadn't smoked in a long time. And Dignitas probably felt very comfortable at that moment. But that smoke gank definitely came out at a really solid time, and they killed the Weaver, who was giving them such big problems. They managed to end his streak as well. And so that's going to give a bit more gold towards Puck, as that is going to definitely help out his Hex pick up very, very soon. Well, not very soon, but a lot sooner than it would have been at this rate. And now Dignitas, they've got to be feeling a bit uncomfortable because Lotus is still farming up, and now Bauer has died quite often in the past couple moments, so he's going to initiate, and then he's just going to die in a team fight because he only has 1k HP to work around with. So ideally you want Barrett to at least get a couple flame breaks off and maybe a couple more seconds of Firefly, but the amount of damage Alliance does is absolutely tremendous, and Nagasarn is completely out of mana, and that will be an initiation by Admiral Bulldog as well as S4. They are going to kill off AUI, and AUI running around with no mana definitely cost him his life. I mean, mana might not have helped him either way, as he is going to go for the traditional split pushing Nagasarn ultimate build, as Snaking going to try to split push down this bomb tower. It's going to once again be denied by S4. Time lapse out by Weaver will help to save his life, but Dignitas losing so much momentum in exchange for these trades, and these aren't even good trades. 2 tower denies for a main carry pickoff and a Weaver death. Very much not worth it for Dignitas. I mean, the only thing it's freeing up is the map, and maybe Dignitas can perhaps sneak in a Roshan, but still really, really dangerous up against the immense amount of pressure that Alliance can possibly muster up. And now Bulldog going to build his way towards the Basher. Loda has the Yasha going to try to finish his med style relatively soon. And then he might sell his drums or his Vlads and then look to finish up the heart. And at that point, Phantomizer is just going to steamroll Dignitas. And AOI went for a very, very greedy build. Went for an item that has no room for survivability, has just Boots of Travel with Song of Siren to escape. And you can see, despite him farming up all game, not having mice is just going to really slow down his experience growth in comparison to Loda. As there will be another initiation on Snaking. Snaking will escape for now, and Admiral Bulldog as well as S4 should be able to escape unscathed as well. But S4 didn't use the Dreamcoil, as EGM gonna rush in as the Invisibility Rune, as the Dreamcoil gonna catch both of the supports on the side. Dignitas Macropire, Fog just gonna drop every ability just to try to do as much damage as possible. But here comes Barrow, we'll get the Flame Break, but Fog is gonna be the first one to die since S4 did phase shift out of the Flame Break. S4 gonna escape. Song of Siren will be popped as Snaking was just taking way too much damage. AUI trying to get back in position, try to pick off Aki or S4, but S4 looking to Orb on out of there. Can he actually escape? No, is not going to transfer himself over towards the Orb. A very nice mind game being concocted by S4. The Radiant Solutions on the Nagasarn just going to prevent S4 from escaping, as S4 will be able to blink out to safety. That phase shift is now level 4. Meanwhile, he will be able to Orb out to safety. And it's going to be a 1 for nothing. But Rain, we're able to clean a tower during the midst of all that. But now another teleport will come in from Snaking. The Swarm going to try to slow down the push of Alliance. The Illusions and Admiral Bulldog just going to cleave through that tower so easily. And even though Alliance did lose the tier 2 in the top tower, they got a kill in tier 1. I think that was, I mean, might not have been worth it in the grand scheme of things, but they're just winning every single team fight at this stage. So that's going to give them a huge amount of momentum going into the next portion. And that's going to slow down AUI split pushing, because now he knows he's going to have to be very careful in how he split pushes. He does have the Mantis Style to mend himself out of silence without the Song of Siren. It's just going to be very hard to teleport, even with the Mantis Style. So AI gonna have to restrict himself to the jungle rather than split pushing all across the lanes for a minute, and that means Alliance will take more control over the map. And you can see Loda is just split pushing to his heart's content. Ghost Scepter is time for EGM. Aki has now finished the mecha. As far as the ultimate orb, so his Hex is actually coming at a relatively solid time. BKB will be the choice for Universe, as BKB is going to be necessary in this game. But I don't know how fast Universe can actually farm it. It's not looking likely that he'll farm it very, very soon, as I think the Central Ward did spot out the movement of Alliance's smoke gank. Meanwhile, the recall will go down as Aki gonna spot Way Too Sexy. They are gonna initiate. Fogged is once again out of position. He will be picked off, but now Way Too Sexy gonna get completely blown up by the Phantom Line Solutions. But Snaking gonna pressure the tier 3 on the bottom lane. Will force out the teleports, but I mean, in the end, these are just costing Alliance teleport scrolls. They're coming out ahead in terms of these trades. They're getting more experience than Dignitas. They're getting more gold than Dignitas, because they're getting kills. I mean, Dignitas, they're farming a lot of lanes, but with the Midas, I think Alliance will be able to outfarm Dignitas consistently. And you can see that is reflective in the gold as well as the experience graph, and the experience graph has now hit a 14k deficit for Dignitas. It is looking very, very good for them.
Top tower has been denied.
You know, AY will successfully deny the top tower. Loda getting very close to whatever next time he decides to go for. He has the match style already finished, so he's probably going to sell the Vlads, may go for the heart, then maybe sell the drums, try to pick up an Aegis or something like that, because he pretty much has all the damage he needs apart from Butterfly. And I've got to imagine he'll sell the Vlads or the drums before he sells the Midas, because the Midas can still be very useful at this stage in terms of boosting his gold intake as well as increasing his experience growth. You know, again, we're starting to see a flaw in Dignitas' game plan. What do they actually do besides split push? Because their teamfight has just gone to the shitter. And now Snaking just continuing to farm up. His farm rate has slowed down significantly as Dignitas going to smoke up, trying to spot out Roshan. They will actually initiate as Enchantress will tank it up. Alliance seem to know that this is coming. The Skeleton will scout out. Aki, I think, did spot it out. As Alliance, can they hear the Roshan being bashed? Yes, Dignitas just going to escape out of there. Dignitas going to barely escape. Oh my god, that was looking very, very tense for Dignitas, as they could have lost a lot of heroes. But in the end, Alliance just didn't have the vision to see them. Wow, that was definitely teetering on the knife's edge. So scary for Dignitas. But again, they came out the losers because they used a smoke and they used a couple teleports in the Alliance. They just used some wards to get themselves control over the Roshan pit. Way Too Sexy has Fish and Aghanim, so he actually does do quite a bit of damage. But oh, Way Too Sexy is going to get initiated on. Here comes the orb. Ice Path will try to cover Way Too Sexy's retreat as the lasso will be used onto S4. Meanwhile, the Phantom Lights is just flying through. Bulldog as well as Loda just cleaning up house. Song of Siren can be even used. No, AY is just simply not positioned. Snaking gonna get all his mana drain from the mana leak, and now is looking to be an Elatro. Snaking is level 16, but he already uses time. Snaking is definitely gonna die, and this will be a Roshan for Alliance. Make no bones about it. And Loda will likely pick up the Aegis. He had the heart finish, and now he has 1700 gold in the bank. Probably going to sell the drums. Actually, he sold the Midas to finish up his heart. I guess getting those team items a bit more useful than, you know, having that selfish Midas up. There you can see Dignitas just in a very, very terrible position, as they have just lost so much momentum. And I don't actually see a way for them to win a team fight unless Alliance makes a gargantuan mistake. And Alliance are just playing super carefully, because this is a lineup they can play super carefully with. They don't have to take too many risks with this lineup, because all their heroes scale pretty well into all aspects of the game. You know, Fog just running around the boards, not having a good time in this game. Way Too Sexy, unable to pump out any damage because he was immediately isolated and killed off by Alliance as soon as the fight broke out. And you can see Universe, he got a lasso off, and he survived for all of about 2 seconds before he eventually got killed off by Bulldog as well as Loda. Alliance going to push in. They're going to try to pressure this tier 2 tower, the non-illusions. They can't split, so Loda will just go to work as Storm going to be used as well. Alliance, I don't know. They don't really have to go for this tower, but it looks like they are going to go for it anyway. I guess they want to get as much map control on their side, and they will be successful in bringing down this tower. It seems like they're going to go to work on the bottom barracks, but Nagasarn is going to be split pushing all the way on the top lane, and that will force a teleport from Keeper Light. Interesting enough, Keeper Light wasn't the one to teleport. I guess, yeah, Spirit Form was on cooldown. And he will probably be enough to defend this tower by himself, because Naga Illusions, again, have such a long cooldown that they can't really be spammed over and over again, even with the Manta style. And the tier 3 on the bottom lane took around 3/5 HP in terms of damage, and that's going to be it. Loda going to get himself recalled up, probably going to finish Boots Travel, go for Butterfly, and then he'll be capped out, and at that point Alliance can look to end the game as S4 is able to secure a kill on Snaking, and Snaking is just not having fun anymore. He has not been able to get any farm. You do have the Manta to break the silence, but still, there's just so much damage being thrown your way with the Telekinesis, as well as the Lifesteal bashes, that it's very, very difficult for Snaking to actually escape despite being a Weaver. And now Puck, he's going to finish up the Hex, and that's going to be another disable that's going to be against Dignitas, and Dignitas currently do not have a single BKB. This Hex will just do a number towards Dignitas. And I think Weaver, I sort of like this Chrysalis choice because they need as much damage as possible when they want to split push, but it's not going to help when Alliance team fights because Weaver will just get isolated and kill it off so very easily. And oh man, Fog was just toying with death. Did S4 manage to take the rune? No, I think Fog did manage to kill it. So good job by Fog, I suppose. But still, he could have potentially been a lot short because S4 had a Hex as well as the Dream Call. Well, I guess he used the Dream Call on Weaver. Meanwhile, Boots of Travel was finished by Loda. He still has the Vlads as well as the Drum, so he can pick up the Butterfly if he manages to get rid of one of these items. Keep it light. Probably going to save up for Vlads eventually. You can see Dignitas have been able to keep some semblance of ward control, but I mean, what does this honestly give them? They can see that Alliance are not really near them, and Alliance are just constantly being grouped up as 5. While Phantom likes to split pushes all the lanes because Keeper Light can recall him at a moment's notice. Nagasarn trying to finish up the Heart, has the recipe, looking to finish up the VIP booster as the Heart has now been finished, so Nagasarn can tank a lot, but can she do enough in terms of damage? And she doesn't even have a Defusal, so she doesn't even have Meta Burn. This is all the damage she's doing, which is really, really pitiful at this stage in the game. Bulldog has just finished his Abyssal Blade. Good item to lock down people like the Weaver. I mean, everybody inside Dignitas could be a likely candidate for that Abyssal. And Universe still being denied his BKB. Still very, very far away from finishing that item. He's just not had a good time. He's constantly being killed off in these engagements just because Alliance are just grouping up, and at the point when Barrett is at his strongest, he couldn't get that much of an advantage. And sooner rather than later, Barrett are going to lose his effectiveness because without any tankability items, Barrett will just be a mini disable up against the Wrath of Alliance.
Under attack.
And Alliance going to push, and you can see Lord on the main map just navigating himself backwards. He's going to stop the split push by himself. That AY will throw his way, and Alliance, the rest of them, will go to work. And Aki looking to recall his Broseph. We'll be able to do just that. And now we're going to summon the Manta style illusions, and Alliance will go to work. And you can see Dignitas, they won't have anything to do with this. They're just going to split push on the top lane as hard as possible. Dignitas do have a glyph, Alliance have a glyph as well. And I think Dignitas, they're going to defend this, otherwise they're going to lose 2 racks for sure. And I don't think Dignitas can push nearly as fast.
Radiant structures are fortified.
As Macro Power will be dropped, Ice Path will be used as well. And Bulldog's taking quite a bit of damage. Aggie going to go back to defend the tower, but these mill barracks going to fall as AY will teleport himself back, does drop the Song of Sign. Will Universe get a solid initiation? No, he's just going to force staff himself out to safety, as I guess the initiation was called off, and it seems like, well, Alliance just going to use the Phantom Lancers to kill off the barracks, and going to be able to defend their middle barracks. Admiral Bulldog going to lose to Aegis, but it's going to time out relatively soon regardless. Although Bulldog could potentially be in a bit of a tight situation, unfortunately for Universe, he doesn't have enough mana to cast the lasso. And in the end, Alliance, they trade a middle barracks for a tier 3 up on the top lane, more than well worth it, as now they can potentially push the top lane and just really seal Dignitas' fate at that point. And Dignitas, they are just the ideal components or proponents of the Mahatma Gandhi, just non-violence everywhere with this lineup, but it's just not working out. I don't know how many times I could say this, but this game plan is just not designed to work out. And Dignitas, they can't really just sit around. They can't wait for Alliance to make a mistake. They have to force an issue. They have to go for a smoke anchor or do something because Alliance are just playing too smart to allow themselves to make a mistake. And you can't just really hope that the only way you can win is on the back of Alliance to make a mistake. You have to look for an opportunity to try to maybe force a mistake. And that would definitely be unexpected for Dignitas to do that, but I don't know, at this point Dignitas, it feels like they're a bit too far behind to really make a huge recovery. I mean, at the very least, if they win engagement, they can potentially take off the top barracks and perhaps even push down the tier 3 middle. But it's looking very, very grim as now Loda has the butterfly finished and still has the Vlads. As Aki picked up the Ghost Scepter, recognizing that Naga does not yet have a Diffusal Blade. And Universe just storming the enemy team's jungle, trying to finish this BKB. Look, I mean, Universe is just having such an abysmal time of it. You can see Alliance starting to rotate towards the top lane, recognizing that the tier 3 was penetrated. So the smartest thing would be to push the top lane, since if Dignitas want to get to these barracks, they'd have to push right past the Alliance team, and Alliance is not going to let that happen. And Dignitas, in response, can instead rotate themselves. Good trick by Way Too Sexy. You can enchant illusions, and those illusions will have the juxtapose thing, but eventually these illusions will die off. And so this isn't really a reliable way to beat Dignitas, or beat Alliance in the late stages of the game. As Way Too Sexy didn't get the luck, so the illusion's going to stop spawning for now, and Loda just going to teleport himself top, going to count on Aki to recall him back at a moment's notice if he does feel the need to engage in a fight. Bog has the gem, as Phantom Hunter is just going to kill off Way Too Sexy. I didn't even see that happen in literally less than a second. I don't know why Way Too Sexy was still there, as looks like Naga Siren just gets a Riptide to delay the creeps as long as possible. But Bulldog going to have none of that. And the unfortunate thing about Naga is that the illusions just have too long of a cooldown, as here comes Initiation. They're going to catch out Universe. Without the lasso, there goes Dignitas' primary source of initiation. Universe does have buyback. He's going to have to buy back, because if he doesn't, Dignitas is going to definitely lose the game. And even if he does buy back, Dignitas is still in great danger of losing the game. As you can see, Snaking going to try to push down the middle lane, and Alliance, will they back off in response? Aki is there defending the middle lane, as Song of Siren will be used, but it's only going to catch out S4 as well as EGM. Loda not caught in the midst of the song. Admiral Ball going to rage through. He is going to initiate. Here comes the engagement. Snaking going to take a lot of edge. The Abyssal Blade will be dropped from the Snaking. Can he actually escape? He's going to time lapse away to safety. Dreamcoil still restricting the movements of Dignitas for a large duration, as Weiji's actually going to get that Ghost Scepter diffused. Loda going to work. He picks up a wicked 6 streak, and the Alliance just going to steamroll Dignitas in this team fight. Fog going to be the next one to die after Snaking. Snaking going to buy back, but what does this honestly mean for Dignitas? This means the end of the game, as Alliance looking to take the game 1 of the semifinals match between Alliance and Dignitas. They're gonna go to work on the middle or on the bottom barracks, Loda out of mana, as Snaking trying to be the hero that Dignitas needs. But Loda kills off the top barracks. Aki will be the first one to die on Alliance in a long while, but it seems like that's gonna be it for Alliance losses in this game. And Dignitas, it's looking pretty much over. I mean, I really don't see a way that they can come back, considering how well Alliance has played. I mean, not even a Rapier would help them, because who would you get the Rapier on? Naga wouldn't be too effective because she's an illusion-based hero. I guess you could get on Snaking, but you just get Abyssaled up, because Bulldog has had that Abyssal for a long while. Alliance going to rotate themselves down to Roshan, as Admiral Bulldog looking to secure himself an AC. Should have that up relatively soon. Net worth, you can see Loda full 10k net worth ahead of AUI, despite only having 80 creep advantage. And Dignitas, recognizing that they have to do something, they're going to group up and push, trying to push out the creep equilibrium as far as possible. But Alliance is going to take Roshan. There's pretty much nothing that Dignitas can do about it, although Alliance will back off for now, realizing that they can take Roshan anytime they possibly want. And the Phantom Line solution still split pushing on the bottom lane. So annoying. As Loda should probably be microing them to push out the bottom lane even more. But still, it's been a 43-minute game. You can excuse Loda for a couple mistakes here and there. As Puck gonna spot snaking, he's gonna get the silence going. The Dream Call. That was weird. I guess S4 just barely whiffed the Dream Call. Misplaced, I suppose. And so Dignitas dying a slow but steady death. I mean, what more can you call it? This is just drawing out the game. S4 has 4.4k gold in the bank. Bulldog gonna finish up his AC in about 800 gold. EGM has a 4 staff, gonna likely finish his dagger. I mean, he doesn't really need the dagger that much, but why the hell not? As Alliance gonna go in, gonna take the second Roshan. Keep in mind this Roshan does not yet have the cheese and snaking. Can't even fight these Phantom Lights or Illusions. Weaver, being a single tower hero, just simply cannot do enough. This Bulldog gonna get himself recalled. I guess he got pushed up onto the high ground. Maybe a flame break, or maybe this Alliance trolling around. I guess EGM was trolling a bit since Alliance, I think they recognized that. They would take a throw of epic proportions in order for them to lose this game. And Leicester, once again, he's securing himself an Aegis of the Immortal. 44-48 is the call by Aki in all chat. I mean, it doesn't really matter, because I don't think this game will last another 10 minutes or Roshan respawn. And even if it did, I don't know if Dignitas could potentially contest it. But Alliance, I think they've had enough. They're going to push in, try to end the game. Daedalus was the item for Loda after the drum, so now his Lucians do critical. Although they don't do as much damage as Power, just going to try to Firefly Lucians down, but that's pretty much all you can do. And I guess the motto of Dignitas is split push until the game ends. As the last set of barracks is going to be threatened by the side of Alliance. It seems like Dignitas, they're not going to be in any hurry to defend it. They know that they can't defend it, but they don't have any choice. They're going to have to defend it, as they're going to pop the song looking to go in. Loda, he doesn't have the Aegis nor does he achieve, but he does have 6.2k in terms of buyback. And here comes the engagement. Loda will not be able to save EGM, but S4 going to blink with the Admiral Bulldog, and this looks to be a massacre. Actually, S4 taking a lot of damage. Fall going to be first one, Dignitas to die, and meanwhile the Phantom Lights is really dropped onto Universe. Abyssal Blade will be dropped onto Snaking, and this should be GG, as Dignitas just got beaten at their own game. They played way too passively, and this lineup, I think it's just an outpick. That last pick Phantom Lights are just completely through Dignitas for a loop, and I don't think they ever really had a game plan to deal with it. So we'll see if Dignitas can recover, but Alliance just played pretty much flawless Dota aside from S4 in the middle lane, as they made next to no mistakes, and they just looked dominating in this victory in Game 1. So hopefully enjoy that game. I'll be back with Game 2 relatively soon. Thanks for watching, everybody. And we are almost done with Dreamhack playoffs, so we'll keep tuning in. But my name is Villain, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.